Hi everybody. I'm taping this atypically at 4:05 in the afternoon because this, my friends, is the sound of rain. And my God, do we need rain. We've just had the worst series of heat waves ever recorded here in France. And this is thunder and rain, and I'm going to turn around. Hi Dorothy, hi Terry, very nice to meet you. I'm Sarah, and I live in the south of France. I live in the Dordogne, which is, I think, the most beautiful area of France. It's right in the middle. It's called France Profonde. So it's right in the middle of the countryside with mountains and hills, and it's absolutely beautiful. I'm very old. I'm going to turn around the camera. You can take a little look. There you are, look. You can hear that rain. You can see it sploshing on the table. This rain is so welcome. Now you can see that there's also smoke haze, and that is from the terrible fires that are burning down at Arcachon. You've probably heard of Cap Ferret, which is where all the fashionable people go, the fashionable and the wealthy. They go to Cap Ferret, and they've all been now evacuated. But we're getting this rain. It's a thunderstorm. Look up there, isn't it gorgeous? We call it the glycine. It's otherwise known as, and I'm going to forget its name in English. You'll know the name. I've forgotten. If you know the name, please type it in your messaging. I've forgotten. It's got that beautiful purple flower, and you can see right in the middle, the bright green. That is covering our well, and that is another one of these glycines. I'm so sorry. I'm speaking so much French now that I often forget the English words, which is just, frankly, a symptom of holes in the brain. Summer! How are you, Summer? The summer here has been terrible, as you know, and as you've read. And the reason I'm recording now at 4 in the afternoon is because it is pouring with rain, absolutely pouring with rain. Hello, Summer. Dorothy and Terry, please meet Summer. She is well worth subscribing to. She's a wonderful Canadian who's done a lot of work for women, and she's a good woman and a very good writer. But anyway, look at that. Look at all the rain. It's just gorgeous. Wow, I love that sound. It's music to my ears, frankly. Oof. And you can see I've got a beautiful new plant there. That has a really lovely, fluffy red flower. And my husband's favourite colour is red. So we bought that yesterday because we have this spare now, this terracotta pot. Here's my new plantings down here. My raspberries here. My veggie patch in front of you. And that gorgeous sound. Now, where's Charlie? Here is Charlie. I'm in the kitchen. And here's my boy. And he's here because he loves being with his mum. Charlie, I want you to say hello to everybody. Now, Charlie is a basset hound of great intelligence, and also he's a criminal. Criminal because he's the criminal that we love to love. So he commits crimes, not crimes. And you should try reading my Charlie Chronicles because they're fun, aren't they, Summer? You like my Charlie Chronicles? So please do read them. Now, I am meant to be right now. Oh, by the way, I posted this as a still life on Substack this afternoon because these roses, they smell yes, Summer, criminally adorable. Quite right. Actually, it's criminally. So you have to spell it CRINIMALLY. These roses smell superb. These ones come off the front of the house. And this one does too. And then these are gorgeous. And they're called Elizabeth, these ones. It's a new one from David Austin Flowers. They do world famous. It's an English company that has now for just under 100 years, I think. They create old roses. And these are called Elizabeth, after Queen Elizabeth. And the scent is just beautiful, and it's flowering prolifically, and it's new this summer. It's extraordinary. You can almost smell it. Someone needs to invent a means of smelling perfumes over the phone. I bet that'll be the next invention. Now, this is what I'm meant to be doing. Here, these beautiful things we bought at the market this morning, and we bought 2 trays because I'm going to be making preserves. Hello, Diane Johnson and Sandra Reese. Very nice to meet you. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed to me already, and I will subscribe to you. Now, these are my raspberries, which I'm going to be making. I'm going to save some for a coulis, like a raspberry sauce, and I'll freeze that. And the rest I'm going to make raspberry jam. They were all the ones I could get this morning at the market. So raspberry jam. So this is what I'm doing this afternoon. And then you can see I'm going to be doing strawberry jam as well. And these are at their peak. And again, I can smell them from here. They're gorgeous. And this morning we've got what's called a quetch tree. It's a plum tree. Hi, Diane. How are you? Nice to say hello. So look at these 2. I bottled these this morning. Now, I got myself these Fowler jars, a whole lot of them, and these are going to go. They don't look that promising, but they're absolutely delicious. I basically I simmered them with brown sugar for 20 minutes, and they are simply divine. And they come off our quetch tree, which you can see through the window just beyond the maple tree. You can see the top of a fruit tree. That is an old quetch tree. A quetch is a sort of French plum, and they're delicious. So they will go downstairs into the laundry. So I'm really getting on with my preserves this year. They have to go into, we've got one of those massive preserving pots where you turn on the electricity, you put these in, and it preserves them to a very high temperature over a set period of time. And then what you do is you bring them out, you put them upside down on a shelf, and then after 24 hours you turn them the right way up. And I've already got down there preserved apricots and apricot jam. And so yeah, I'm getting on with my country life cooking. I shall display on Substack. I might even write an article about it because I love something for nothing. Who doesn't? I love the fact that quetch tree has been there for years and years before we bought this house. And now I am, for the cost of basically a couple of cups of sugar, I now have these beautiful preserves, which costs absolutely nothing compared to buying, tinned peaches or whatever in a store. So anyway, what else shall I show you? Oh, the church. Hang on, I don't normally show this when I do because I'm usually out in the garden. But that is the church in our village there. And it rings the hour. It's just basically, it's pre-recorded. There's bells up there. Bells up in the top of the, you can't call it a spire, I suppose a tower, the bell tower. And but they are mechanised in terms of they're attached to some sort of electric thing. And since we had massive storms a few months ago, it's gone crazy. So it tends to ring a quarter of an hour before it should. Listen to the thunder, isn't that fabulous? Yee-hee, more rain. My little front garden, I created this from nothing. The only thing that was here were these rose bushes, old roses. And I created this because we have, if you can see the little arches in the far distance, that is a school. And the parents used to park here, right outside my house, in the mud, in winter, and it was a quagmire. So I thought, right, I know what to do. So I created a garden, and the parents were lovely because they all stopped and said, oh, what a lovely garden. They didn't realise I was doing it to stop them parking. Anyway, so I always put a lot of mulch on my gardens and also compost. So now the soil here is deep and rich, and I get the most beautiful blooms happening. So anyway, so here you are, that's the village. And my dear friends, I'm afraid I should probably get on with work. You'll never guess what I was just watching on TV. Charlie and I, we always have a nap after lunch together in the living room. And I tend to turn on the TV while I doze off. And I'm actually watching American Sweethearts, and it's all about the Dallas cheerleaders. Gosh, they're nice kids. They really are. I never realised how intelligent they were and how they all had degrees and they all went on to do very worthwhile jobs. It's terrible the sort of generalisations we make about women. But they're actually very, very nice kids. Very nice. Fuchsia. Now, I don't have a fuchsia. Diane, what were you talking about? Was it something at the front of the house? I think if you're talking about the purple, that there is actually and I'm trying to remember the name. Oh God, I've got holes in my head this afternoon. It's a dahlia. It's a dahlia, and in fact I've planted quite a few, because what happens with dahlias, they've got a root that's called a quorm. It's like a bulb, and you plant that, and then in this temperate climate you can leave them there year after year. And this has been here a couple of years, and it's the most gorgeous colour, and I've now planted them right through the garden, and you can divide them, which is really good. So it's a good option if you ain't got a lot of money. Anyway, you can say hello to my kookaburra, because I'm an Australian. And Charlie is doing a little forage. What are you doing, my darling? And I'm going to make a fruit salad later today. And that's my collection of birds. Now, I write children's books, as you may know. Yeah, it does look like a peony. I agree with you. Yeah. Yeah, now these birds, I got them. I'm an author of books for children, and I have these Chinese calendar tales, which are about every year of the Chinese zodiac, when I wrote them, and I published them when I was living in Hong Kong. And then I would travel, so I went to England, and I even went to the States, which was great with them. And I also used to launch them in Queensland, at home in Australia, on a mountain called Mount Tamborine, very beautiful mountain. And there was at the bookshop there, she also used to sell these beautiful birds that are pottery. And so there's a kookaburra. That's a kookaburra. That is oh, come on. I'll remember in a second. Kookaburra, that's actually a pink kiwi, which was given to me by my putative son-in-law, who comes from New Zealand, and that I got in Paris. It's a kingfisher. And this is a rainbow lorikeet, which are crazy on the mountain, on Mount Tamborine. Hi, Sean. And what they do is, there's a restaurant up there. It's called the Polish Place, and it's run by a Polish couple. And if you sit there and you eat outside with this extraordinary view over the Gold Coast and then beyond, and over these riding schools, it's an incredible view from this very, very beautiful mountain. These birds, they come down in flocks, and they will eat the sugar bags on your table. If you scatter the sugar on the table, they come down and they just eat it there, and they sit on your head and they sit on your shoulders. They're beautiful. So that's rainbow lorikeets, and this here is a currawong, and I call him Clive. And it's a clinking currawong, and they used to have a lot of them in Tasmania, where I grew up. And they clink, 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 as they come down from the mountains. Beautiful. It is a cassowary, that's what it is. So that is, I think it's Clive the cassowary. Now listen to that thunder, isn't it fabulous? Yeah, I know. So this cassowary, they're amazing birds. You get them in North Queensland and also in Papua New Guinea, and they're incredibly dangerous. They can rip a man's stomach open with their claws on their front foot. They're a bit like an emu. They are very, very dangerous, but also they are the gardeners of the forest. And I've written a story, which I haven't had published yet, about a cassowary, because they're incredibly valuable for the ecosystem, because they forage, and as they forage, with their massive claws, they dig up the floor of the forest. Yeah, there's no lightning. I haven't seen any lightning, but it's probably hidden by this rather smoky sky. Anyway, my friends, there's Charlie. He's saying, oh, Mum's at it again. At it again. Yes, a little aggressive summer. But I mean, it's humans poaching on their territory, frankly. I wanted to show you something else. Hang on. Well, as you know, I am now a gallerist at the Galerie de Saint-Albert. And this here, I call a Bécassine. So this is this lovely woman called Marie Pichon Van, and she does these extraordinary, beautiful little characters. And when my husband grew up, there was a cartoon character called Bécassine who looked exactly like this. She was kind of like, she looks quite Flemish, but she was French. And I love Bécassine because she's me. That is me going, oh my goodness, I'm about to laugh. I better cover my mouth. And there was one thing else I wanted to show you. Hang on. I went this morning, because I'm trying to get new artists for the gallery, I went this morning to Limoeil, which is rather difficult to spell. It's Limeuil, and it's Limoeil. And Limoeil is one of the plus beaux villages de France. Look at these, aren't they lovely? Again, from the garden. Absolutely gorgeous. And there's America's Sweethearts, everybody, proof that I was watching it. And yeah, so at Lemoy today, they actually had an exhibition. Well, it wasn't, it was like a craft fair, but it was of ceramicists and people who did pottery from all over France, artists. And oh, I fell in love with most of them. It's great fun. It's quite powerful being a gallerist because you can choose which ones you like. And we actually bought this because I think it's amazing. And this is, isn't it stunning? It's made with horsehair and pottery. Lovely, lovely woman selling them. Isn't that gorgeous? And so we bought that because it's beautiful in that space with that little old window, which is typical of houses around here. Isn't it stunning? Gosh. I was talking actually with some of the not potters. They're called potiers or ceramicists. I prefer the word ceramicist, I think. But anyway, I was speaking to one of them today, and we were talking about how art is so close to the soul and how it's mad that people don't buy more art because you're actually getting an artist's soul in your house, and it's also terribly important to support artists. This beautiful painting, my husband doesn't like much. I adore it, and I got it in London back when I was 28, and I was working in a gallery. And this was done by someone called John Hopkins, who was a Cornwall artist. And I had travelled in Cornwall, and this so reminded me of Cornwall. I think it's quite beautiful, and we've got it here because the painting that should be here by Le Bay, otherwise known as Babette de Vignal, who's a very good friend of mine who got me the job in the gallery. That painting, which we bought from her, was here, and we put this here to replace it because that painting at the moment is in the gallery. It will come back home tomorrow because that exposition ends tomorrow. But isn't it gorgeous? I love this. This reminds me of the tin mines. Yeah, it is moody, Diane, I agree. And also I love that because you could look at that forever. I mean, it's the sky. It's quite stunning. I just think it's beautiful. I don't know why Philippe doesn't like it very much. But because we have to agree on everything that we, put in various places in the house. So this is going upstairs in another room upstairs. But I just think it's stunning. Anyway, and anyway, oh, and this Babette Lebay, she did this for me. I had sent her some flowers. Oh, Diane, that's interesting. How very interesting. I shall say that to Philippe. This one here, Babette, she just turned up one day with this and said, would you like this? Because I'd given her a bunch of my roses, and she did this painting. And it's really pretty. It's not a style I would normally buy, as in the very bright colours, but it's perfect in this corner, and it's Babette. But this is like coral, this little bit there. Isn't it pretty? She's the most extraordinary painter, and that is her Lubé. So that is her signature. She's a wonderful woman, a very beautiful woman, very sweet. And here's Tintin. I got this for my husband because he grew up loving Tintin. And so it's Voyage aux Amériques, Tintin's Voyages in America, and that is Snowy the dog there. And that's me and my husband when we got married, and my beautiful daughters. Anyway, my lovely dear friends, I just wanted to say with Tintin, when we find special things in the garden, we put them here. And this came up in my garden, our garden. Well, let's call it mine because I do all the gardening. But look at that. That is Stone Age. It's a Stone Age flint. And we had somewhere, isn't it beautiful? And it's got a spot there, here, for the thumb. There, it's beautiful. And I showed this to someone who said, you could take that to, there's a Stone Age museum at Les Aisies near us. But he said, do not take it to, there was another museum, he said, because they'll take it from you. So I thought, right, no, this is staying in the house. This belongs to Tintin. But isn't it wonderful? And that literally surfaced in one of my garden beds one day. And it's because you see this whole area, because it was a valley during the, coming out of the Ice Age, basically, reindeers came the length of the valley. And so the hunters followed them. There was some lightning. The hunters followed them. And that's why we've got this here. And the other thing that I've got here I've got other bits which I think may have been they're works in progress. I don't know. That I thought was possibly. And I've got a feather there, a little feather. I don't know what of, but I do love my feathers. And this is very interesting because these are coins, very, very light, that surfaced in the garden. And they are the coins at the time that Germany was occupying France. They're Petanist, or they're during the time of Petain, who frankly was a Putin. Here it is, look at that, 1 franc France, 1945, so during the war, during the French occupation. And it says here, I know, it says, it's hard to see with these glasses, hang on. Travail, work, family, country. Work, family, country. And that was Petain, very nationalist. Yeah. He turned out to be a shit. I mean, he was the great general of the First World War. And so he had a huge following in France. And when he said, look, we cannot fight the Germans in the Second World War, it is better that we, put down our arms. A lot of people who were so sick and tired of the deaths in the First World War, you can understand them. They agreed, and they thought he was wonderful, and they trusted him because he'd won the First World War for them, or got the Germans out during the First World War. And it turned out that this man became very far right. He was responsible for the Jews being sent to Auschwitz from France. He was disgraceful, absolutely disgraceful, terrible man. I guess it was of an era. This was all around about the time of the trials of that poor Jewish guy. I'm trying to remember his name. There, look at this. Look at that. État Français, French state. It's almost like a hammer and sickle, isn't it? It's wheat sheaves and an axe. And then again, it's 1 franc. And they're so light because, of course, they could only use very, very light devalued metal. Well, that's 1944. So I was thrilled to find them. Now, look, my preserves and my jam are calling me. I'm so sorry. I love spending time with you guys. But I'm going to have to go. So, Charlie, who has followed me everywhere, look at that look of devotion on the face. Charlie is now saying, well, bye-bye, Mum's friends. It's lovely to see you. I will fall asleep almost because Mum is so boring. Dear little boy, he's my baby. He's soft. I wish you could feel him. He is soft as velvet, darling little boy. And they call these tache rouge, red spots. Cute. Charlie says hello back. He goes woof, 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 woof. Doesn't he, darling? Dear little boy. He is one of the great loves of my life, this little darling. Anyway, so I'm going to go back to the cuisine, to the kitchen. I'm doing this incredibly hard puzzle at the moment. I'll show you that. Well, no, I can't show you the picture because the pieces are there. But it's lovely. But while Philippe reads to me, and currently we are reading For Whom the Bell Tolls, and my God, could Hemingway write? I mean, I don't think much of him as a man to have a relationship with. He was a shit, especially to Hadley, his first wife, I think. And she was always so kind to him throughout her entire life. But my God, could he write? I could quite understand. I absolutely could understand why it was that he was so revolutionary at the time he was writing. This is about the Spanish Civil War, if you haven't read it yourself. And if you haven't, please, please, please do read it, because we've just recently read another book about the Spanish Civil War, so it was wonderful to read this. And the way he writes, you're there. You are absolutely there. It's astoundingly good writing. And this is my mum as a teenager, and if you want to see more about my mum, please have a look at my latest post, because I've done one about mum, about her childhood. This was mum with her poodle cat. She's lovely. And this was Stoke Lodge. So this is where Mum lived in London because her dad was High Commissioner for Australia in London. And so she had a very, very, very glamorous time before she married Dad. Anyway, do take a look at my latest post. And if you like it, can you please like, but also can you comment and or restack, because that's what raises the algorithm. And in the meantime, I will do the same for you. So, goodbye to the rain. Goodbye, my friends. Lovely to see you. and hope to see you again soon. And why don't you all? I hope you do this. It's terribly easy to do, and it's a quick way of making a post, really. And I would love it if you would, because then I could listen to you. Anyway, mwah, bisous, as they say here in France. Oof, better go. Bye.